To unlock the understanding, then you need to present the data in a way that people can get in there and run their fingers through.
You mentioned when we had a chat earlier about simplicity.
Yeah.
What does that mean for you? Why is it important?
Lots of people are really familiar with managing their budgets and they're super familiar with project management, but what they're not familiar with is a lot of the sustainability metrics, even though that's stuff that they touch and they feel every day. So it actually makes it a bit scary for people when you come up to them and you're like, oh, I'm really keen to set a target, and start kind of asking you to measure and understand and engage with potentially these new metrics or potentially your existing metrics, but in a different way. A big part of that hurdle in terms of building the internal maturity is actually making that information and those metrics friendly and engaging. Really what you want is a tool that unlocks a different way of viewing an issue.
That word, when you're saying it's going to unlock, that's so powerful.
Typically, like when you're thinking about how people engage with information, it needs to be wrapped up in a story. And to be part of that story, it needs to be relevant to them.
Targeting the majority in the bell curve.
Yeah.
And not the outliers. Why is that important? Not the decision makers, but the ones who are doing the work.
Yeah, totally. Because they're the ones that are making those day-to-day decisions, and they're the ones that know how the system works, right? So it's actually quite hard for someone who's in the middle of something to see how it needs to change to then be able to change your long-term impact. I make this small change here, and I see myself in the change here, but actually I can see the larger impact that it's having.
The big picture.
So it's going all the way through.
And so that's where you see how it's relevant to you and how much you as an individual can make an impact.
A good example would be if we want to go straight into fleet. And we want to have that lightning speed from sort of top level diagnostic in terms of actually what are our biggest impacts when we're looking at our vehicle fuels, down into what do we need to do or what are the changes that we can make in those areas. So having the people that are actually making the decisions about what vehicles you're going to drive and how you're going to drive them, being able to engage with and understand the impact that they have, both from at the top level in terms of the impact on the organisation, and then down into their level is actually really key. It's that lightning speed to insight. And that's kind of a really key aspect of enabling sustainable change in the organisation.
Talent acquisition and retention. People have been saying it's actually why sustainability reporting is actually important and needs to change.
I've talked quite a lot about building internal engagement and having a tool to build internal engagement, but it's equally as important. And in fact, you should be using the same information to build external transparency, and that's for a few reasons. We are facing a challenge as an industry where we need to recruit people to help us with that low carbon transition. And increasingly people are drawn to companies that have sustainable credentials, but actually that aren't greenwashing and so are transparent and authentic about what they're doing. You can't do it alone. And so a big part of it is saying, here are our problems or here are our areas of impact. They can actually look at it and then they can say, oh, this is an area that we're challenged as well. Well, this is an area where we're really strong and actually let's work together on that. And if you can't present the information in a way that people can engage with, then you can't have those conversations or they become a lot harder to have.